Hi Bethlehem, this is Pastor Paul. This past Sunday we started a new sermon series entitled Making Change as we examine 3 instances where God brought change into this world. When God makes change, when God brings change into this world, He does so to align the world with His will. You see, God doesn't just make arbitrary changes. No, God is very intentional in the changes that He makes. And so when God brings a change into this world, He does so to line up reality with His will. And so the first instance of change that we looked at was God creating the heavens and the earth. Creation. When we turn to page number 1 of the Bible, Genesis chapter 1, starting with verse 1, this is what we read. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. The earth was formless and empty. Darkness covered the deep waters, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the surface of the waters. So when we read that from a 21st century mindset, we're looking at how can the Bible answer some questions about our origins, the origins of the world, the universe, and how do they line up with science? But that's not what the ancient Israelites would have heard. When it talked about that the earth was formless and void, they would have pictured a desolate wasteland. When it talked about that darkness covered the deep waters, they would have pictured a chaotic scenario. So in this wasteland, in this land of chaos, God brings order. See, as you walk through the 6 days of creation, you see how God brings order into this land of chaos. He creates time, day and night. He separates the waters from above from the waters below, and He puts the sky there. He separates the dry land out of the seas, and He starts to He creates vegetation that produces certain kinds of fruit and that are able to reproduce according to their kind. He puts lights in the skies, the sun, the moon, the stars, to keep track of the months, the years, and the different seasons and the different festivals. And He puts in the sea animals who are able to swim, and into the air birds who are able to fly. On day 6, He creates land animals, each kind of with their own speciality. And then over it all, He creates human beings who are created in His image, in His likeness. And what that means is that God creates us to rule this world, to rule it with His wisdom, with His love, with His character, to preserve the order that He has put there. So God brings change to align the world with His will, to direct it to the end that He wants to take it. And so here's our big idea. We follow God's example when we initiate change to align with His will. When we see something out of order, when we see something misplaced, we make change. We initiate change to align things with God's will, to bring things back into order. And that brings us to our challenge. Our challenge is to change something in our lives to be more aligned with God's will. So what does that mean? Maybe it's about making a budget so that we can be generous with what God has given to us. Maybe it's about realigning our schedule so that we can be generous with the time that we have to love people, to serve people. I don't know what that looks like, but what change can we make in our lives to be more aligned with God's will? Thanks, Bethlehem. I hope to see you tomorrow night at midweek, starting at 6 o'clock with supper. And then again on Sunday morning, 9 o'clock for Sunday school and breakfast, and 10:30 for worship. God bless.